Okay, today I'm going to be rescreening the screen door. On this one I was able to just lift up and pull the screen right off the track. Anyway, going to be rescreening the screen here. Screen material is on the opposite side. Looks like my gasket's coming out there, but I'll get that going in a minute. So our spline material's on this side. So I'm just going to need to take this handle off, and it's just 2 screws to make it fairly simple. Okay, and that'll expose the spline. Make sure we don't lose these screws. Now what you want to do is find a corner or an end where we can get a start on the spline material in order to pull it up. I can see the piece of the screen here is a good indicator at a break in the spline. I've got a small little screwdriver on my Leatherman. It may allow me to pull up the spline material right here. In theory. Let's try it on this end. There we go. Get it started and pull it up, and I'll be able to pull it out all the way around. Now I'm just gently going to use my feet in order to pull the spline material up, in order to hold the screen down as I pull the spline material up. So I'm not really going to step on the frame, just enough to pull the spline material up there. Now along the far edge, try to get a little ground on this. I may need to redig that up again. I like trying to keep the spline all in one piece, but it doesn't always work out. You can put new spline, but you can also reuse the old spline. Doesn't matter too much. Anyway, there it is. While I'm over here, I'm just going to press this gasket back into place. It just kind of came out right there, and just fairly easy. Press it back into place. And pull it up all the way around. Be kind of gentle with the corner. Oh. Looks like there's a little bit of a tough spot here, but that's okay. Pull my screen material out, and I may be able to get that spline material to come up there. Oh, let's see. There we go. And that's our spline material all the way around. So we can pull our old screen out and throw it away. Now with the new screen, I've got my screen on a roll. And this will make it easy to tighten it up and keep there from being any ripples. So here's my roll of screen. Just going to get it unwrapped here and roll it out. There we go. Now, because mine's on the roll, because my screen's on the roll, I'll be able to use the roll to tighten up the roll and prevent any ripples. If yours isn't on the roll, what you can do is use a broomstick and just use that to roll up part of the. And just use the broomstick to roll up the screen on the opposite side so that you can tighten it up. Nice and easy. I prefer using a plastic spline tool. It's less likely to rip the screen material. I've had too many times where I'm just about finished screening the screen door with a metal one and then accidentally cut right through the material. So placing the spline in, just going to use the edge of the spline tool and push it right in along the edge. Kind of holding the frame so the frame doesn't move on us. We don't want the frame to move. Okay. Now at the far end, I'm going to use the roll to tauten the screen. Not too tight, but just tight enough that keep any ripples from developing. Don't want it so tight that we can't press the spline material in or we wind up ripping the spline material. So we got to put it in. So we get my spline material lined up here. And on this part, I'm just going to take the curve and rotate it around. I like the around the curves to be all one piece. Okay. And I'll come back later and push that edge in a little better with my knife to finish it up. And I'll start with my next piece of the spline material. Now if you see a little bit of ripples develop, don't worry too much. The important thing is to keep the frame itself from moving. So I'm kind of holding the frame with one hand while I push the spline material in. And we'll loop over our spline material. And then we're going to again tauten the roll here to pull out any wrinkles in the screen. Now, at this point, I'm using this to roll it. Again, if you didn't have the roll and you just had a piece of screen that was cut, what you could do is wrap that in a broomstick and just use that to roll this up with the broomstick and tauten it out that way. Make it nice and easy. So here we go, taking the curve here. In this part I seem to have a little bit of a ripple here, so I'm going to try just pulling this side a tiny bit, like so, and see if I can kind of distribute that out. Okay, I think that's going to be just fine. Okay. And again, we want to pull this taut, but not so taut that it tears the spline material, or tears the screen as we push it through. Again, this is the reason I like the plastic spline better than a metal spline, and that the metal one does have a tendency to cut through, in my experience, to cut right through the finished screen, and then of course you're stuck starting over. Alright, so now on this end, now it looks like we're going pretty straight. Again, we can pull this side taut if we need to, if we see any ripples. I don't really see any ripples. I'm just going to make sure it's straight. We don't want it, again, we don't want it too taut. Okay. And now our last little piece. As we get to this point, and tauten it a tiny bit. And we're looking good there. Okay, now what we're going to do is take a sharp knife and just go around the edges, as well as cut off the excess spline right here. And against the outer edge of the spline, I'm just going to run my knife in order to trim off the extra screen, make it look nice and professional. So we'll have a nice perfect edge. But right here, I'm just going to push in these little corners with my knife to finish it around the edges. You're going to cut off so I can see the rest of my screen for the next job. Okay. Okay. And again, I'm going to push in the corner here. Got this all out. This is what really makes the difference between a really good screen job is, well, along this edge, but of course not having any ripples in there also make it a bit better. Okay, before I get too far, I'll show you again this corner a little closer up, pushing this in here around the edge here, right here. So we just want to push that down into the track like so. So now it's nice and finished, and then we'll cut off the rest of the screen. Now all that's left to do is put our handle back on. Right here, and then put the screen door back on. Get that there, excuse me. One. And two. Now we're ready to put the screen door back in place. That gasket will go up against the side here. And I'll put up into the top of the track first. And then just lift up, swing in the bottom. And then I need to just kind of lift up on the wheel with my knife in order to set it onto the track. Like so. There. One nice, newly screened door. Good to go. No ripples. We're all set. Beautiful. Good to go.